Cool. Looks like we're live. Welcome everybody. Bobby, thank you for joining us, co-hosting.
It's my pleasure.
Um,
My pleasure, Ryan. It's always a pleasure to be here with you guys. I'm enjoying it. Thank you.
cool. I just want to quickly share this over to your group, Bobby. Let me see if I can. Everyone could just bear with me for a quick minute. Okay, share to a group. Um, Anonymous. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so you just got to give it permission on your end, Bobby.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, what are we going to talk about today, Ryan?
Okay, so I was thinking an interesting topic. Okay, yeah, just to quickly announce as well. The first, I'm gonna see if how long we go if we get some people on the public channels sort of asking questions and jumping on. Um, but if everybody could just post their comments via the questions, the comments in the Facebook feed or in the YouTube feed. Um, Sorry, it looks like something's gone wrong here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so if everybody could just post their comments via that mechanism, and then we're gonna switch over after the 20 minutes to the private unsearchable My Rehab Cafe group.
Right, right. Hey,
So
anonymous addiction private group. Give us some comments. Give us some feedback. We're going
sure.
to be talking about a real interesting topic today, so stay tuned.
Yeah, so I've got this generic sort of homework planner, addiction homework planner. I got it from the States, in fact, and it's excuse me, it's open source, so it's customizable and all that kind of thing. And I was going through a couple of the worksheets today because I wanted to review them. Or I wanted to have the treatment team at least just look at them and review them. And one of the ones that I came across was understanding spirituality, and I thought that would be a good topic for us, Bobby, to chat about.
Yeah, that's a big buzzword throughout the recovery industry, and as we know, there's agnostic and atheist and different types of groups out there today. So this will be interesting. This is going to be very good. I'm ready. I'm ready.
So the thing about this particular worksheet, I'm going to share it now, is that it's very much 12-step focused. So there's a lot of 12-step stuff, and I just thought, it's not a very old um, book or manual or whatever you want to call it, but it's got a lot of stuff referring, with references to the 12 steps, and I suppose it's assuming that the treatment center that's using it is a 12-step based treatment center. So I think there's some stuff that's valuable in it, and that's it's got there's some good points, but let's take a look at it. Um, Share screen. Okay, so we've got understanding spirituality. Okay, so this assignment will help you begin working through an issue that troubles many people new to recovery programs. This is a big subject, and there's no way that one handout like this can cover it all. We can offer some pointers to help you get started. Why work on spirituality? Because it can make the difference between success or failure in recovery, and therefore possibly the difference between life or death. It's the key to effective use of Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and other 12-step programs. So that's an interesting question there. Why work on spirituality? And then again, that's followed by because it can make the difference between success and failure in recovery. I don't know how you feel about that statement, Bobby. What do you?
Well, let's break. Let's,
you
I'm going to look to the viewers, to the audience, to whoever's listening. This is Bobby C, and this is my opinion, my beliefs, my experience. This is what I have discovered through this life journey. So I'm gonna put this out to you. Let's see this argument. It's a pointer. I like where it said on the first paragraph. It said offer some pointers to help you can start. Okay, I always say that. Help is a pointer to the way, but we are the way. We are the solution. I fully believe that. We create our own program. We create our own destinies through this mind of ours, which I believe, is a gift given. So I'll start out right from there, Ryan. What do you have to say on that paragraph?
Yeah, pointers. I think, look, the if I have to ask a question, so it asks the question, why work on spirituality? And I think, before we can really answer that question, we need to sort of define what spirituality is. So I'm very analytic, Bobby. I'll just analyze this to death and go in circles, like I told you just before we started. It could be a problem. So if I get stuck just in a loop, just move me along if you don't mind, man. But spirituality making the difference between success or failure in recovery. Um, let's take a look at what the rest of it has to say. So when people attend their first meetings or 12-step programs and find that they dislike these programs, the most common reason is discomfort with all the talk about God. This may look like a barrier, making these programs useless to them, but it doesn't have to be. Many people have good reasons to feel skeptical about religion. They may have had bad experiences with religious people or institutions. Perhaps they just feel that God has not been there in their lives. Hearing God or a higher power mentioned in 7 of the 12 steps may be an immediate turnoff. And I have to say that I relate very strongly to that.
Yes.
When I was first, so so when I went to treatment, and I was introduced to the 12 steps, and the word God popped up, I immediately um, I immediately thought, oh shit, I've been scammed. Like that was my initial thought, really, and it was very difficult for me. Then they started saying, okay, cool. Well, you can make your religion, your God or your higher power, the doorknob or the tree in the garden. And I was, that didn't make any sense to me either, to be honest. Um, so yeah, I struggled with it a lot in the early days, when I was first introduced to it. So
Yeah, why work? Okay, let me go back to the sentence above there. Why work on spirituality? Okay, right there. Because it can make a difference between success or failure in recovery. That to me is a myth. It's not true, which I found out not to be true. Not through just my own experience, but through research because I've talked to thousands and thousands of people. Okay,
mm,
I've been around this recovery industry for 38 years. So I know by talking, by listening, and by reading different books, and by being in different types of meetings, I know that that's not true. Because if it was, then the success, there wouldn't be such a great success for people that didn't believe in God or didn't believe in spirituality or just believed in spirit. The word spirituality in Alcoholics Anonymous, I fully believe that it has been hijacked. Okay, it has been put in there to disguise religion, because I grew up as a Catholic. My mom passed on her Catholicism to me as an infant. Okay,
mm,
so I did all the rituals. I went to church. I had to do confession. I had to do catechism. I had to read all the rituals, go to communion, and go to confession in the morning. Do the act of contrition. This I could put side by side all the things that I learned in religion, in the Catholic religion, and put it aside to Alcoholics Anonymous. It's an identical, okay,
mm.
down to the act of contrition. And it says, therefore, possibly makes the difference between life and death. That's a like shaming, guilting kind of statement, because it's not true.
Mm.
It's the key to effective use of Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah, in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's the key to effective use of Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, NA, CA, and all the other 12-step programs, because it's very dogmatic, it's antiquated, and it's religion. Here, I'll quote just in the big book on the bottom. Now, pertinent ideas. What is pertinent ideas? It's read at every meeting throughout the world, how it works in Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12-step programs. Okay. Now, at the bottom of how it works, the last sentence is clear. Let's make clear 3 pertinent ideas. Now, pertinent it means it's you better get it. Okay, it's very pertinent. If you don't get this, you may be in trouble. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our lives, never again. Okay, so first of all, they're labeling me alcoholics. They're saying I can't manage my life. They're saying I'm powerless. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. They're saying that I could not do it on my own. I need a higher power. And C, here's the kicker. It says C, that God could and would if he were sought. So I can read, God's mentioned 136 times in 164 pages, and higher power, power, and God is mentioned 225 times in 164 pages. So I don't buy that. I know so many people that don't. There wouldn't be agnostic and atheist meetings, secular, different types of meetings, and they're all successfully sober today, and they're living let's say a lifestyle, alcohol-free, alcohol and drug lifestyle today.
So, the word spirituality for me in the NA or 12-step context, okay, is very much linked to the idea of morals, okay. Okay, so I think if we go through this pamphlet, we'll sort of, we'll get to that. But look, my first experience of treatment was of rehab was when I was 17. Okay, I was shipped off to it was like a military kind of like very ultra religious, uh, uh, you know, um, military camp in the Karoo Desert. Okay, and we literally had to go to church on a Sunday from 10 until 5. Okay, 10 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and we had to sit there. And if we fell asleep or whatever, there would be like punishment. Okay, it was hardcore, and it was hectic. People were sort of when the pastor prayed, a lot of people would fall over backwards, and that was really my first experience of ultra religion. That kind of ultra, I don't know how to describe that, but when I was at school, I was in a Methodist school, and we'd go to church in the mornings, and there would be these sort of like rituals, and it was I thought it was cool. It was okay. I didn't sort of like want to participate necessarily, but it wasn't like they weren't shoving it down my throat really. But this place that I went to, Bobby, it was rough. It was like they really shoved it down our throats, and it was weird. I remember one instance. I was standing in a room. There were 300 of us in that center, and I was obviously a youngster, and they were doing like this praise and worship thing on a Friday, and I just really didn't want to participate. So I was kind of like standing at the back, just like I didn't want to sort of clap and sing and shit. So um, some guys noticed, some people noticed, and they all sort of like started grabbing me and sort of like pushing me into the center of this group of all these people, and they started praying for me and praying in tongues, and it got really fucking weird. Um, and I think some people like that kind of stuff, but for me it was like it was traumatic. I have to call it that. And yeah, going to treatment a couple of years later after that, and sort of again, like I said, being exposed to the word God, I thought I'd been scammed. The place I was at was supposed to be a very, very good treatment center, and they started with the word God, and it kind of like, I took a step back. But let's move on to.
Now, let me just touch base what you just got said. What you just described to me sounds like coercive persuasion, and it's mental. It was mental abuse. That's
100%.
that's how I would see it. What you just described, mental abuse. It's narcissistic, gaslighting, trauma bonding, mental abuse. Period. Now, if somebody wants to debate, that's a religion. Let me just clarify something. I'm not a problem. People use the word God. That's okay. Use the word God. No big deal. Whatever you want to describe it. Spirituality to me. Look, if I said the word "I'm spiritual" to you, or I have spirituality, you would use your reference, which your knowledge, your experience, and your reality of that word. So it's kind of not it's not fair when somebody says they're spiritual and you think you know what they mean because of the word.
Agreed.
So
Yeah.
so that word spirituality can be an identity, okay, because of the other person's experience through it. So I just want to clear that. To me, you can label me spirituality. You can label me spiritual because I kind of believe in a realm that quantum physics is. You could kind of think that would be spiritual energy vibration. Could you say that's spiritual?
Bobby, look, the history of this country is I would have to say one of like ultra conservatism, if I can put it that way, right? Um, a lot of the older generation, especially, are like very conservative, and you know when they think of the idea of a drug addict, okay, they think somebody that has no morals, they've lost their way, they you know they're weak, things like that, right? So that's why I think ultra religious sort of places like that, really did very well. At least in the 90s and early sort of like thousands or whatever you want to call them. I remember them doing very well. Those kinds of places. So people, you know, anybody listening to this, I don't want to sort of say that it's I'm not in favor of people finding God or finding spirituality. Okay. Um, yes, when you go through addiction and you sort of you betray all of your values and you sort of do all of those horrible things and um, betray yourself and betray your family and the dishonesty, the self-centered, all of that stuff, right? You do need to kind of like sort of like get back in touch with some version of rediscovering your values, if I can put it that way. I think that is very important. Okay, but I think there's a lot of people, especially now in recent years, that struggle with religion in particular, and the word spirituality, like you said. Um,
Well, when you say, when somebody tells you it's life or death, you kind of get serious about it. Here you come out of a detox, you come out of a detox, you're going into a treatment center, and they say you're going to die if you don't get this stuff because it says right here, it says I got to answer this, not answer, but I got a missed call here. It says made a decision to turn my will and my life over to care of God, and then it says 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Then in 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove, and in 7, humbly asked Him, which is God, to remove our shortcomings. It's like if I don't get this, I got to do it because I'm in trouble. There's no other alternatives. If there was a lot of alternatives, you read a lot of books, you went outside the triangle, and you discovered on your own, because it takes time anyhow.
mm,
This stuff takes. I'm still learning stuff about it. About certain things, a lot of things in life.
mm,
Because this is a self-discovering, like me and Ryan always say. We're on a self-discovering journey. We're self-analysis. We're in self-analysis. That means self-help means that we're eventually going to figure this out on our own. It may take a long time, okay, but we're going to stumble along the way, and we're going to be in a place. So we have to be in that place and embrace that place, and then we can move on if we get other choices and we learn more things outside of a one dogmatic program.
mm. So I think thank you, Sophia, for your comments. So spirituality is what you truly believe in. There's nothing to do with Christianity or any of the other religions. My view is that higher power is whatever you believe can help you through the process, whatever helps you go forward. So and that sort of brings us to the two questions. I think I've given my sort of overview of what I think religion is. Um, and when I think of spirituality, and that ties in very much, Sophia, with what you said about whatever can help you, right? So, I know if I want to, and I've always used this analogy, but if I want to drive to Cape Town, okay, or to Mozambique or whatever, if I jump in my car and just start driving, I'm gonna get lost, okay? It's pretty much gonna happen. Um, but I know my GPS navigator thing, or my map book, or whatever it is. That's gonna help me get there, right? So in a practical sense, that's what I see as a higher power, if I can put it that way, right? Or a power greater than me. Um,
You know what?
I think.
Ryan, let me look. Alcoholics Anonymous, if they would just come out, if they would have came out in the beginning and said this is a religion and come join our religion, I don't have problem people joining religions. People, they're worshiping, they're praying, and that's their belief. Look. I believe in the power of choice, but what I don't kind of what I deprogram and deconstruct is the thing that makes it into spirituality, and it doesn't appear to be a religion when I know it's a very dogmatic religion philosophy.
I agree. No, I agree 100%. I think it is too. Um, I think different people, can motivate it in different ways. Um, but I suppose if it works for them, then that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
Are there differences in the meaning of religion and spirituality for you?
No,
Do you believe there's a difference between spirituality and religion, Bobby?
no question. They hijacked the word spirituality.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Aside,
Religion is a form of control, and I believe if I wanted to use these words, which I don't like to label things or people or anything, but if I was to separate them, religion is control, spirituality is freedom.
sure. Okay, that makes sense. Again, you made reference to this point here where they sort of talk about where is it? Yeah, it's the difference between life and death. So I know getting into treatment, right? You before you get in, like your life has sort of it's felt like a nuclear bomb's gone off, right? Things are not well. There's chaos everywhere. People don't like us. We don't like ourselves. We hate ourselves. In fact, um, get into treatment and sort of like you're reeling from all of that, okay, and you're vulnerable, and you get told like, listen, if you don't follow the direction in this book, you're gonna die, okay. That to me is a sick version of indoctrination. And I know that there are places, 12-step places, and ultra sort of like religious treatment centers as well that do that kind of thing. Um, and I don't think that's right. Uh, by any stretch of the imagination. I think that's in fact very dangerous.
Yep.
Okay.
What's that? Are
Definition
you?
of
Go ahead.
huh?
Go ahead.
Okay. Definition of religion could be as follows: a religion is a specific system of practices and rituals based on a belief in a specific divine or superhuman power, usually practiced through membership in a specific human organization, usually called a church, temple, mosque, or synagogue. A similar definition for spirituality, on the other hand, might sound like this: spirituality is a focus on the moral aspects of life, on doing what is right and what will help us become the best people we are capable of being.
Well, here's the problem with that, Ryan. What is right? Okay,
That
so
ends with
what is right? So they're going to tell me what's right and wrong. Okay, so I can't think for myself. There's no thinking. First of all, I come in Alcoholics Anonymous. They tell me I'm diseased, I'm powerless. If I don't follow the 12 steps, I'm going to drink and die. Okay, so what kind of choice is that? So what they're doing is they're taking away my will, they're taking away my care, they're taking away my life, and I want to give it over to Alcoholics Anonymous or AA. Now I sound harsh because the reason why I sound harsh because look, if you're taking this personal, I understand you probably could be taking it personal, definitely. But I'm not out to make people leave Alcoholics Anonymous or run here or run there or go here. I'm not out to scare you. All I'm doing is giving information, other information that maybe gives you a different choice, so you don't problematic habitually use alcohol and drugs again.
Bobby, this word here, the word right, what is right? So I personally feel that a good idea would be to replace that word with the word healthy. Okay. So focus on doing what is healthy and what will help us become the best people we are capable of being. Um,
I like that.
like sometimes the healthy thing is to sort of like end a relationship with a family member, for example, and cut ties with them and sort of like distance yourself, right? So sometimes that's a healthy thing to do. How do we know whether that's going to be the healthy thing for us or not? Well, we get to speak to other people who have had similar experiences to us. We can speak to psychologists, okay, who can guide us through that process. Healthcare professionals. We can speak to our sponsor. If you've got a sponsor, you can chat to your sponsor about it.
Or a
But the word
friend,
right,
a friend, a friend.
yeah, a friend. I think the word right is incredibly dangerous, and
Danger. It's dangerous. It's taken away. It's look. Let me break this down. The definition of religion. Okay. Does this sound like Alcoholics Anonymous to anybody? Just let me see. A religion. Alcoholics Anonymous is a special system of practices. AA is a special system of practices. Is it or not? Yes, it is. Practice these principles in all your affairs. We must practice these principles in all our affairs. And rituals. Do we have rituals? We have about 6 different prayers that we repeat over and over again. We have sayings, slogans that we repeat over and over again. Look, based on a belief in a specific divine, they're making Bill Wilson the divine. Okay, the superhuman power is God, and usually practiced through membership. Okay, do we have a membership in Alcoholics Anonymous? The reason why they say there's only the only membership, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. Let me just say this. This is why it's been put in there. The only requirement from it's the carrot. It's a carrot and a stick. Listen, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. Where does that desire come from? Only you can provide that desire, and they know that. Every success book, every magazine, Napoleon Hill, Anders Carnegie, every book, every motivational speaker knows that it must come from you. So that's the key. After they get you in, then they'll get the carrot and the stick and bring you along further and further and further. My take.
so I think you're quite right. So you know, the desire. Cool, I've got the desire. Now what? The reality is, before I went into treatment and sort of got involved in the 12 steps and that kind of thing, was that I did not know how to stop. I didn't. Like it was, I'd read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'd read like whatever self-help book I could get my hands on, and I really struggled to stop. And I think a lot of that had to do with the physiological sort of aspect of it, and the social aspect as well, being that the people that I surrounded myself with, all behaved in the same way that I did, or the people that were left, that I could sort of associate with. But and what the 12-step fellowships gave me was a community. Okay, and Bobby, I 100% agree with your point. In that there are other sort of ways of doing this, right? But it seems like AA and NA, and they've got the market cornered. They were early in. They kind of like established themselves into these big conglomerates or whatever the case, and they've sort of spread all over the world, and you'd be very hard pressed to find alternative sort of ways of doing it. So it's really difficult, and I think that's what's cool about the conversations that you and I have, is that we are looking at alternatives and looking at different ways of doing it that don't include dogmatic rubbish.
This is the trend. This is where it's going. This is the future. Believe it or not. Look, Alcoholics Anonymous is everywhere, so we have to understand that. We realize that.
So we could say it this way: religion is a system of people create to try and achieve spirituality. We could think of spirituality as water and religion as a bottle, a container to hold water. The containers can hold water, and some bottles contain other things instead of water. That kind of makes sense, eh? What other containers for spirituality can you think of? So
Go ahead.
So yeah, so 12-step fellowships, eh? I mean, that's like that's the obvious one. The My Rehab Cafe, I think that's another one. There's a lot of cool, interesting content that points to the healthy sort of to healthy outcomes. Being in therapy. I don't know. What else do you think, Bobby?
We got to change that another word. What is right in life? What is right for somebody isn't right for us. People are passing moral judgment on others that it's just BS. So okay, let me see here. Okay, what other
Health.
containers for spirituality? First of all, what we're doing right this second, Bobby C and Ryan, we always talk about the now. What we're doing right now, to me, I consider this spiritual.
Mm.
Okay, I consider this connection that we're having right now created through this verbal communication of energy vibration back and forth. Ryan's in South Africa. I'm over here in the United States in Florida. We're commuting. I feel, when Ryan says some things that make me have goosebumps and make me feel excited and motivate me, I believe that is what spirituality is. Walking into nature, walking on a beach. You'll see me post a lot of things in nature. I love nature. I think Mother Nature, Father Nature, going back to nature is very spiritual to me. There's mindfulness, understanding the mind. The most spiritual thing I could even think of is self-discovery.
Mm.
That's the whole key. Self-discovery, learning. Look, this thing's going to take time. If somebody's really suffering, you get yourself into a detox. Okay, don't try to do it on your own. If you need a detox, get a detox that only lasts a few days, a couple days, maybe about 4 days, whatever. If you want to go into rehab, go into rehab. If you want to go into one, go into my rehab. If you're in South Africa, go into ARC over there at ARC. Addiction Recovery Center, because it's in the cutting edge. It's on the cutting edge of whoever's going to be joining this organization. I'll tell you right now, you're on the cutting edge of something new in South Africa. Maybe not over here in the United States, but in South Africa you are. And that's why I'm hooking in with Ryan about this thing, because I'm seeing a big change happening over here, and it's going to happen over there too.
Mm. So, okay, so at this point you might be thinking, doesn't this definition of religion also describe a 12-step program? It seems to be a specific system of practices and rituals, and is practiced through membership in a specific organization. If you've had the thought that AA, NA, or some other 12-step program seemed to resemble a religion, what similarities do you see? And I think we discussed that a
No,
bit
we could
earlier.
go in. We could go. No, we can go further into that. We can
Okay.
go in a little further into that. Okay, first of all, you go to a church. Okay, where's most Alcoholics Anonymous meetings? In the basement of churches. That can be considered a church. You're going to a fellowship. A fellowship in Christian religion is a church or a temple. You're going into a temple of Alcoholics Anonymous. You have a sponsor. Sponsor is like a priest in AA. Okay,
Mm.
a sponsor would be like a priest. You have the act of confession. You have the 10 Commandments. You got the 12 steps. Um Same thing. I can go on and on and on. Active contrition is the fourth and fifth step. Okay, eighth and ninth is making amends, which is in the active contrition. I'm heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all, it's still brainwashed in my head from since I was a little kid. Okay,
Mm.
so you don't think repetition and programming works? Look at TV. Why do you think they spend millions and millions of dollars on repetition of commercials?
So somebody somebody mentioned yesterday in a meeting. They said, I got to stay clean for myself and not for other people. And I think you still you commented on that, right? And you know, I've never understood that. Okay, because if I'm staying clean for my kids, it's because I want to be a good father. That's part of who I am. If I want to be a good husband, if I want to stay clean because I want to be a good husband, that's part of who I am. But you mentioned repetition and going into these meetings, and it's Ryan, I'm an addict. Ryan, I'm an alcoholic, and that becomes my identity. That becomes all I am. It becomes all I am. There's every no, everything else is kind of like second to that, and I don't know. I don't agree with that. I feel like that's just another form of dogma or indoctrination. But
Yeah,
we can go into that in detail.
yeah.
But
No, not detail. Just elaborate. I'm just going to touch base on that. Yeah. Look, in the beginning, does it matter? No. In the beginning, it doesn't matter who you're getting sober for. Eventually, I believe it does. Eventually, because if my wife left me, something happened to my kids, they abandoned me. Eventually, after years, I have to stay sober from, or I not have to. I'm just saying I have to uh, practice a principles that are moral principles that are going to be healthy for my body, and I do that because of me. Self-love is so important. I must love myself, then I can give it over to other people. But you could give it over first and then then learn how to have self-love. But self-love is very important, and I agree. So we're on the same page with that, Ryan.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we could probably talk about that for hours, but this is the argument they make in this particular document, right? Which needs to be reviewed. Here are the three key differences between 12-step groups and religions. Specific definitions of God. A religion offers specific ways to understand God and may insist no other way is correct. A 12-step program asks you to think in terms of a power greater than yourself and leaves it to you to decide what that power is. And I have to just say, let me like, if you that all of the 12 steps point to a set of ideals, right? Okay, or spiritual principles, if you want to call it that, right? So, step 2 points to hope, right? What's it? Step 5 is I would say honesty as a spiritual principle. Step 3, open-mindedness, right? So these are all spiritual principles, okay? And and spiritual ideals that we sort of motivated to work towards. Okay, would you agree with that statement, Bobby?
In Alcoholics Anonymous, no. Look, I'm the type of person that got into the book, the big book. Okay, I read it, I decipher it, I deprogram it, I deconstruct it. I know what the traditions say, I know what the steps say, I know what the concepts say, I know what GSR is, I know what the pyramid structure is, I know the hierarchy of it. I understand the subtle subliminal messaging that goes on, and this here is a message to say that no, we're not religious. That's a little message stuck in there. So if you read that and you go into a meeting, you'll say, oh, well, that's not. But how about the traditions? The traditions they control the group. Steps control the body, mind, and spirit of a human being. The traditions control the group. Here, listen to this. If it's not, okay, I go by the traditions because this program is based, the foundation is on the traditions. All right, here we go. Let's see here. For our group purpose, this is tradition 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he. Now they're saying God's a he. So if I was a woman, I would be right off the bat like, how are you defining my God as a he? But listen. For a group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority. One ultimate authority, a loving God. It does not say a loving higher power. It does not say a loving doorknob. It does not say a loving. It says, as he may express himself in our group conscious. See, that's in our group conscious. Over and over and over and over and over. The first tradition, each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is but one small part of a great whole. AA must. You say there's no must in Alcoholics Anonymous? AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Okay, now I get deep into the book. Now here's a bunch of third step prayer, 7-step prayer. My Creator, I am now willing to have all of you. God, I offer myself to you. God, grant me serenity. God. Now it turns me off. The word God. The reason why it's turned me off throughout the years because people use it so often. They misuse it, they abuse it, and religions have misused it through centuries since the Roman days.
So can I ask you something, Bobby? From a 12-step person's point of view, so somebody that's into it and they sort of understand it and they're working the steps and they're into the whole thing, right? Would you agree that the 12 steps in a sense are a path to at least to understanding a higher power? Does it make sense what I said? So
no, it's a path to God. It's a path to AA's hierarchy. It's a path to giving your will and your life over to the care of AA and recruiting others for life. That's the
Okay.
path. I mean, I'm just being look. I'm just people look.
Well, no,
Some
I agree.
people, some people they get offended, but it's okay if you get offended. It's okay because that's part of life being offended. Look, I'm telling some experience, and I talked to thousands of people over the years, and this is what I've discovered through this book. Okay,
Mm.
because I lived it. I did everything it's told me to do. And listen, people, let me tell you something. AA is going to take credit for your sobriety, but it's not AA, and it's not Smart Recovery, it's not harm reduction, it's not any other program. They're pointers, yes, they're pointers, but you are the one that's doing it. That's the whole hijacking of the self, because they want you to be powerless, diseased, so you have no responsibility in it. So Alcoholics Anonymous takes the responsibility away from you and acts like a parent and says, come with me. I will I will get your care. And the word care, if you look it up, care is the most important thing that we can have. Care is the attention that we give. Like Ryan, he takes care of his organization. He takes care of his rehab. He's in care of it. Wherever the attention goes, the energy flows. So care is like the most important thing, and they want us to give that over to them.
Can I ask you something though? Devil's advocate, right? So, you know, a lot of 12-step people will be like, yeah, yeah. So what? It's I'm happy, joyous, and free. Unconditionally love, and um, I'm free of my addiction, and even if everything that you say, Bobby, is right, it's you know, I'm
Beautiful.
alive, and I'm.
And that's all true. And
Mm,
everything that you just said is true. Because, look, I'm not telling anybody to leave Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm just giving you some other, avenues that I've discovered, and I'm going to continue to
mm,
deprogram and deconstruct this. I'm not going to stop because I'm trying. If I'm offending people, that's fine. They're not going to jump on the group. They're going to say, Bobby, I don't believe anything that Bobby says. So in a sense, that could be a little closed-minded too. Okay, that could be
agreed.
like, how, open-minded, willingness, honesty, open-minded willingness. The true honesty, I'm presenting my what I've discovered, and that's as honest as I can be. What am I supposed to do? Lie and be a hypocrite like I was for so many years? Okay,
Mm.
open-minded. I'm open-minded. You tell me some. I'm still finding out. I listen to all kinds of people out there that are on a level consciousness, maybe a higher consciousness than myself. I listen to them. Okay, look, if I'm in say college and somebody's in first grade, they're not going to come to my class.
Mm.
Okay, they're not going to come to my class. You ha- this thing takes time. You could get it quickly, or you could take it slowly. It doesn't matter. There's two different ways you can get there, or anything in between.
You know what? You know what? I don't. You know what? If I had to answer that question for myself, like, who cares? I'm joyous, free, wada wada. If I had to answer that question and say, well, fine, cool. You say you know what unconditional love is. It's like, do you know what unconditional love is? Like, personally, if I had to sit and think about what the concept of unconditional love is, like, I don't buy it. People are like, oh, my higher power loves me unconditionally. It just sounds absurd to me. Um, does your higher power love the starving Ethiopian child? Oh, that's not God's will. It's like, man, come on. You know,
There's an
um,
look. God, look.
People
They have
believe shit that
re,
doesn't make any sense, and it's irritating. Um, I'm not saying that religion is bad and that having good morals is bad, or that having values is bad. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, you know using terminology or without actually thinking about what you're saying and just regurgitating, it makes you inauthentic. It does not. It's not. You live in a dream world, I would have to say. I don't know. What do you think?
you could go look. You could stay in Alcoholics Anonymous. I stayed in there many years. You could stay in Alcoholics Anonymous and listen to us too. You stay in there, and this way you'll learn.
Yeah, but it's missing.
Yeah, but stay in there and learn. You could learn some things from us or anything else. Go outside the pyramid. Go read different books. Go check out different spirituality. Go check out Eckhart Tolle or Osher or Wayne Dyer, who passed away a couple years ago. Check out a lot of different other books while you're going there. This still gives you a connection because there's a lot of people in there that think like you. They think outside the box, but they're afraid to say anything. These things that you're going to hear, you'll never ever hear any of this in any Alcoholics not any 12-step program in the world. You will not hear any of this stuff. Okay, they will not repeat this this because you're not allowed to have an opinion. Okay, you have to stick to the agenda. So all I'm saying is, if you want to hear some other information, come join us. Come check us out.
So again, here, going back to our definition of spirituality, how do you think that paying attention to the moral aspects of life and what is right could help you solve the problems facing you with alcohol, drugs, and other addictions? So, I remember one evening my wife ended up in the hospital and my kids were with my in-laws. And there was a moment where I was like, I'm going to say it with air quotes, a free man, right? And I was like, cool, I can go and do whatever I want tonight. I'm not beholden to my kids. I'm not beholden to my wife. And I was like, shit, this is probably not a good place to be. And I gave some thought to the different options that I could have gone out and drank. I could have gone out and partied, could have gone out and done whatever I wanted, right? Or I could have done the healthy thing, not the right thing, the healthy thing. Okay. Because I don't like right and wrong. There's healthy and there's there's less healthy. It's on a spectrum, if you ask me, right? And at the extreme, on the one end of the spectrum is the pure ideal of selflessness and unconditional love and all of that stuff, which is an ideal. It's an ideal because we can never attain it. We can only work towards that, right? So again, for me, I think that word needs to come out. The word right is just not correct. It's
Definitely. Here, I agree with you. Every time they put right, they're saying we're right. Every time they say right, they're saying we're right. And what they're doing here in this, whoever wrote this is dogmatic, comes from a 12-step modality, and that's their belief system. So what you're reading right here is someone else's belief system. Okay, imposed on you. They're imposing their belief system onto you as we read this. Now, right, let's go back. Here we go. What is right could help you solve. See, what is right can help you solve. So they're assuming that Alcoholics Anonymous has the right modality, the right morals, and if you follow it, you will solve your problem. Okay, so
it talks about here membership requirements. Religions may restrict their memberships in many ways. Our birth, heritage, obedience, blah, 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 blah. Contrast the 12-step program. And the third tradition says the only requirement for membership is a desire to solve the problem that the group exists to overcome. Anyone who wants to be a member can do so, and no one can be excluded. Now, I just want to quickly, it talks about a formal hierarchy and the structure of people in charge. 12-step, nobody's in charge. Okay,
that's crazy.
Look, so I know where you're going with from a hierarchical perspective in terms of the organization itself, right? But I had a friend got out of treatment. I'm on medication. I take psychiatric medication, right? He went to this treatment center that indoctrinated him into believing that if you're on psychiatric medication, you're not clean. Okay, he came out, sat me down, and he said, "Listen, I can't associate." The first thing he said, no, he sat me down. He said, "My sponsor told me that I can't associate with you anymore. My sponsor told me that I can't associate you with anymore. You're an addict. You're on psychiatric meds. That means you're not clean, and I can't associate with you anymore." And when I protested and objected, I was like, "Hey, man, this is fucked up. Like, you don't stand with me in the morning when I take my pill and like have me try and I'm not trying to force you to do anything or believe anything, right? Believe what you want to believe." he responded by saying, "Hey man, I don't want to die." Those were his words verbatim. I don't want to die, so I'm going to listen to whatever my sponsor says.
Yeah.
That is disturbing. That is incredibly disturbing. So I know where you're going from a hierarchical point of view, but look, and whatever works for him, man. He's clean and sober and joyous and free of fear, and he's living this, this Facebook perfect life. I'm assuming, and yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Look. I'll just ask the audience, whoever's listening, look up the definition of a cult. Look up the definition of a cult. You will not believe how I mean, it's right to the T. Right to the T. Look it up. Okay.
one more comment,
Those.
Bobby, before you go on there. Sorry, I keep on referring back to inauthentic. Okay, and you know, people portray themselves as, again, I mentioned the joyous and the free, and I love this person unconditionally, and that's not how life is, man. Life is fucking hard. Life is tough, and to present yourself in a way that is fake because of, and to give credit to the concept of the 12 steps for that is disingenuous. I think it's wrong. So I just wanted to make that comment quickly.
Yes, authority. Alcoholics Anonymous is nothing but an authority. It's if secular and agnostic, they still in Alcoholics Anonymous, but they don't believe in God, but they're still believing in an authority. Okay, so they're not changing. They still have a belief, and it's a belief in authority. Belief is not a knowing. When you know something to be true, then you know it. When you believe in something, you really don't know it. You just believe it. Here it is. While religion, look, go into any AA meeting around the world. You got 12 people there. You'll have 4 of them that control the meeting, because the controlling minority controls the meeting. The controlling minority controls the meeting. The silent majority sits back and just takes in everything that they say, because it's a control mechanism. Nobody controls the meeting. Go into the pyramid structure. Go research it and how layered and layered and layered until you get to the top of the very top of the pyramid, which is controlled by about 12 members, trustees. You have alcoholic trustees and you have professional trustees. In the very beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson was not even a trustee. Rockefeller's advisors became the trustees of the beginning pyramid. They were the trustees. They set the agenda. Now I'll just throw that word out. If people will say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theory because Rockefeller." I studied this back and forth. I connected dots. I know exactly what's going on with how Rockefeller played the part of actually implementing and designing this new temperance movement, which is an antiquated version of the temperance movement.
Even just from a from a group perspective, they talk about there not being in any kind of hierarchy, and I haven't seen that. It's generally speaking, the most evangelistic, extroverted person who generally speaking has some clean time, is the most sort of well respected member in any of these groups, and generally holds the most sway when it comes to the group conscience, right?
Yep, all you got to do is sit back. All you got to do is an old timer sit back and shake his head like this. All the
Yeah,
newcomers look at him, and that's a
yeah,
done deal.
done deal. That's it. And so in terms of there not being a hierarchy from a group perspective, I don't believe that. And in terms of it not being a judgmental program, I don't think I disagree with that as well. And not just from a, oh, humans aren't perfect, we all judge perspective. Not from that, from a philosophical perspective too. I mean, if you think about the ideal of selflessness, okay, it's an ideal, because it judges us, okay, and it tells us what's useless about ourselves, okay. So the concept of selflessness, I could never attain that, right? Okay, but if I have to look at how I could work towards being selfless, the ideal is going to be judging me. It's so from a philosophical point of view, I think people, when they say, "Oh, it's not a judgmental program," it's a judgmental program from all fucking angles, from all angles. And that's not a critical thing. And I'm not saying, oh, it's wrong because it's judgmental. It's like, don't say it's not judgmental because that's bullshit. It is. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. That's the issue that I have with people who regurgitate shit from the book that they just say without really thinking about it. That's just something that irritates me. This was a good session, Bobby. I got my issues out. Eh?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. This is what it's all about. We're doing self-analysis right now, and we discovered some things that is true for us, and we're just expressing them. I don't have any. I don't have any doubt. Look, I don't have any doubts. I don't believe this stuff. I know it. Okay, I know it for
So,
myself.
so a lot of people think that religious conversion is one of the only ways to to solve the addiction problem. Okay, and in some ways, I agree. I believe there's a lot of a fair proportion of the addicted population sort of struggle with antisocial um, you know behaviors, if you want to call it that, right? And I think you know an external moral compass like the 12 steps can help people like that. But I don't think that intrinsically everybody that walks into a rehab center is by default the most selfish, self-centered, inconsiderate, dishonest person on the planet. Um, I think that's not a cool way of looking at it. And I know that's how the 12-step Nazis sort of portray their doctrine.
That's a character assassination. We're character assassinate. They assassinate our character and take away our identity, and we create a new identity. And just look up cult in a dictionary or Wikipedia, Google a cult and find the definitions. And if it fits, it fits. Look, don't run. Don't run from the meeting. Don't leave. Stay there and check it out and listen to different podcasts and different things and just observe. Here's what I always tell people to do: think, question,
100%. Yeah.
observe, become aware, sit at the meetings and think a little bit. Listen,
Mm.
observe what you're hearing. But you can only do that when you hear other perspectives of life. How can you make judgment of anything? Look, we're always judging. Look, I judge all the time. I take inventory all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. How in the hell are you going to succeed if you don't? You got to take inventory. I take inventory. I judge. Look, at that thing and never take inventory, never judge. That's because of the control mechanism they want over you, okay?
Mm. And it's even if it's not from an organizational perspective, it's these weirdos that again that sort of want to dictate to their sponsees and like have this weird kind of control over them. I think that's just weird. I think it's creepy and weird. Um,
Yeah, when they call them pigeons. I got 5 pigeons, okay? I got 5 pigeons under my belt. How many pigeons you have? The one guru, the guru might be sponsoring 6, 7. He might be sponsoring. The man might be sponsoring a couple women, a couple boys, a couple older men. Look, when I talk about deprogramming and deconstructing, don't take me wrong. I'm not going just Alcoholics Anonymous because when we deprogram and deconstruct Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll be able to deprogram. The veil will be lifted when you go outside into the world. You'll be able to see other things that you did not see before. Okay, because the whole system, the whole matrix is designed like this. Okay, so when you go out in the world, you're going to be more aware and more enlightened. But stay in. Stay,
Bobby,
stay,
can I just say something else? Something that really annoys me about the 12 steps and 12-step fellowship. So, you know, this whole thing was very much a critique of 12-step ideology. Okay, more so than it was a sort of us trying to sort of draw attention to what spirituality is in a different way from it, right? So, but one of the things that irritates me, ambition, for example. Okay, and I know in the 12 and 12 it talks about sort of like your instincts going off the charts and driving you blindly and all that kind of thing, right? But to suggest to somebody that that they're that for them to pursue their ambition is a bad thing. I think that's I think that's dangerous. Again, I think so much of what is done and said in those places is just so incredibly dangerous. And I think if I can just leave anybody who's watching this with one message, it's see a professional and cross reference some of the shit people are saying to you and some of the shit that you're hearing. And like you said, Bobby, be critical. Like look at it through a critical lens. It's okay to do that. You're not betraying anything by doing that. You it's a healthy thing to do.
Very healthy. Listen to this here. Here, I raise my hand. I'm an alcoholic. My primary purpose is to stay. Listen to the purpose. Alcoholics Anonymous AA is giving me my purpose. Okay, your primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics. It's read over and over and over. You'll be able to look and see why the words are said. You'll be able to see the messaging in the words. Okay, I look what Ryan just said. Your primary purpose isn't to stay sober. I can guarantee you that. You're gonna find your primary purpose because you choose a alcohol and drug free lifestyle. You're going to discover your true nature of your purpose. Okay, just like Ryan, ambition is good because creativity is good, motivation is good, challenging is good. You got to go outside. Excitement is good. Can you feel the vibration? Can you feel the energy? Because it's all good. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a gift given to us. Okay, our primary purpose is not just to stay sober and alcohol drug free. Okay, once you
the message of yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot that can be critiqued about it, and yes, it's working for some people, and there's a lot that could be said, that's good about it too, and I think that anybody that just sort of believes that it's all good, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the only it's the only way, it's the best way. I think you're brainwashed and you're living a religious experience, not a spiritual one.
Right.
That's definitely
Right.
yeah.
Don't leave. Stay in. You got connectiveness. You got friends. Make some friends. Make some friends. Leave the rest alone. Make some friends. Check out other things. Go to group 101. Help me in the beginning, man. 101. Then you go to a group therapy, and I recommend the group don't be over about 8. Six is perfect. 6 to 8 is a nice small group. Join a group, even if you got to get a little slide-in scale. Okay, it's going to be well worth the money because these people, these other human beings, are going to be able to check you out, and they're going to be able to see things that you can't see. They're going to become like a crystal ball. Here, I'm going to say this, and we're people that live through life and experienced life through years and years and years and discovered things and uncovered things, and they got a lot of knowledge, they got a lot of wisdom, they got a lot of truth. Look, we have crystal balls. I'm not kidding you. You may think I'm crazy by saying this. You may say, Bobby, what are you, a wizard? What are you, magical? We have crystal balls because a lot of human behavior is the same. We're not so different. We think that we're all so different and unique in the sense of our minds. That's why all these big giant corporations, all these controlling factors, all these religions, they know the hidden secret. Occult means hidden secret. I am de-occulting a lot of different things because I'm uncovering the hidden secrets of life, which is we are the creators. Okay? Now, I'm not denying that there are other entities, okay, that are superior. But I'm part of that superiority. I'm part of it. I'm not separate. I am part of that spiritual entity. I'm not separate. It's inside of me and it's outside of me.
No, agreed. So if there's anybody out there watching that sort of wants to give us a closing comment, please post. I think we've been on for a while. But yeah, so from a from maybe a less critical sort of perspective, I think for me, um, being there for the people that I love, is a spiritual sort of thing to do, and it's a spiritual way to live, and sort of being present for them, because I get sucked into sort of like social media and being stuck on my phone all day, and working and all that kind of thing, and pursuing my damn ambitions, all but balance is also a key. You mentioned having a bit of balance, and that's definitely something that I struggle with. Um, I don't agree with sort of like writing all ambition off, but I certainly do agree with there being some version of balance, and yeah, and to me that's kind of spirituality. It doesn't have to be anything too complicated.
No, it's simple. It's got to be simple. It's got to be in the now. It's got to be very simplistic because here's a little. I'll give you a little sample because I don't talk much about my daughter posted something on Facebook. I just posted it to Anonymous Addiction at My Truth About AA private group, and it was from my daughter. And she posted this thing, said my dad has been by my side. Okay, my dad has been by my side, and posted a little thing on so you could check that out. And I responded back, thank you so much, because my daughter is very intuitive. She's very beautiful. She's very successful. She's smart. She's a beautiful human being. And I know that today. That's spiritual, man. That's the spiritual stuff that people make complicated when it's very simplistic. And look, keep coming back to our programs, and maybe you'll listen to something. You probably won't, look. I hope I didn't offend too many people today. I probably did to a bunch of them, but what are you going to do?
I think that's good, Bobby. I think people need to be offended, and because it's important. It's important, and if they're offended and they don't want to have a conversation about it, that's not good.
Hey,
You
hey,
know,
hey, D'Angelo said, can we say the serenity prayer? Yeah, you know what? This is what I found out, D'Angelo, and this is true for me, okay? And it's true for millions of other people. Here, I'm going to say it, but I'm going to leave one word out. I'm going to leave one word out, and it still works. Do you believe that? It'll still work without that one word. Grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change. What can't I change? Some things I can't change the traffic light. I can't change the traffic. Okay? There are certain things. I know what I can change and can't change. Listen, I can't change that traffic light. Okay? Courage to change the things I can. Courage to change the things I can. I can make rights. I can make a right. It'll get me there quicker. I can avoid that traffic light. I don't even have to go take that traffic light, or I can move. These are things I can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah, there's a difference. You have to know through time, through making mistakes, okay, through failure and suffering and pain and stuff like that, and going back and never giving up. You're going to learn. We're going to learn. That's how I learned, through mistakes and trials and tribulations. I learn, and that's how you get the wisdom. That's how you get the wisdom from the serenity prayer. But I left out one word. Do you know what word that was?
do I need to say it?
No, I'm not even saying it.
You're not even saying it. So, yeah, man. I think Eckhart Tolle talks about the rules. You can't break the rules. You can only break yourself against the rules. And I mean, like that's a cool way of seeing the things that I can't control. It's yeah. I had a thought, but I've lost it. But D'Angelo, thank you for that. Yeah, man.
What did he say? We work it, we worth it, we worthy. Yeah, we are, brother. Yeah, we are.
Mm,
He's part
yeah,
of this group. D'Angelo's part of this whole thing, man. We love him.
yeah, man. Okay, cool, Bobby. So
Sophia,
yeah,
hello. If she's on there, Sophia always comes on and
Sophia's always
listens.
watching. Yeah, shame. She's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And to
but yeah,
everybody else.
yeah, like you mentioned, it's not something that's meant to be offensive. It's meant to be um, uh, uh, something like an investigative, sort of critical way of seeing things. And I
Skeptic.
don't believe. yeah, that's it. I don't believe that, everybody needs to be told that they're bad and that they need to reevaluate their morals. And yes, we can relook at our values and our um, sort of how the way we live our lives. And you know, again, the word right and wrong. Let's get rid of that and look at things on a spectrum of, is it healthy or is it unhealthy? I can have a bottle of water, I can have a diet Coke, I can have a normal Coke, I can have a Red Bull, I can have you know light beer. I can, like that doesn't have to be black or white. And a lot of people might not agree with that. And if you don't, then I would love to have a conversation with you about it. It doesn't have to get heated. It can just be like an interesting um, talk. You know, I'm sure
Yep.
you agree, Bobby. So if anyone out
Yes.
there wants to do that, please jump on. That'll be awesome. Cool. Any closing thoughts or parting thoughts, Bobby?
No, I think we talked about. Whew, man, I bet you I blew. We probably blew some minds today. Let's not. That's not our point, though. Okay, but stay with us. And this is like, we're taking it a little quicker. I would imagine this could be an advanced class that in the future that you know maybe we
No,
could start.
definitely. Yeah, get some structure to it, and
Yeah.
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 I feel
Okay.
like going back and rationalizing everything that I just said. It'll take another hour, but we don't have that. So
Go ahead.
I think with that, should we call it a night, Bobby?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna play the outro. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Cool.
Bye bye.